Okay, so our next chapter, that is the 14th chapter, is trial balance, and where we pick out the errors, we correct it. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So trial balance
Okay.
is simple. We have studied earlier. You take the ledger account balances, brought forward balances, okay, and you take them and fill in the debit and credit column of trial balance. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
All the brought forward, not the carried forward, but the brought forward balances would be taken on the same side. Clear? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Because when you have a revenue account, the revenue brought forward would be on the credit side. So whatever balance you got from that account would be taken in trial balance on the credit side. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And in the inventory account, the brought forward would be on the debit side. So the debit side inventory would be taken on the debit side of the trial balance. Clear? So
Mm-hmm.
same way, you're going to fill in every ledger accounts you have prepared onto the that is everything would be taken in the trial balance, okay, on the respective side. And always remember, balance brought forward is the one that we bring to the trial balance. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the process of recording transaction is very simple. You're going to take it onto the ledger account. Clear? And then you're going to find the BF, that is the balance brought forward, that is for the next year. Okay. And then you're going to take that into the trial balance, which is called as an extraction. Clear? And from
Mm-hmm.
the trial balance, if there are any errors, you're going to adjust those errors again. Okay. And then the final balance would be taken into the trial FS. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you would do the homework TYU1, okay, where you're going to complete the ledger accounts and prepare trial balance out of it. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are jumping on to the next portion of the chapter, that is types of errors. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
human errors are very natural. That means when we are going to prepare accounts, we are going to commit some errors, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
unavoidable. Clear. So these errors are actually into we divide these errors into two categories. Okay, the first category is where the trial balances still remains the same. That means if you have prepared your ledgers well, your trial balance on the debit side, okay, on the credit side should be equal to one another. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So in the first type of errors, even if you commit errors, the trial balance remains the same. That means these two would be equal. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Second type of error is where you get different balances on the debit and credit side. That means the balances won't be equal to one another. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first let's look at the trial balance errors, which balances credit and debit. Clear? And the
Mm-hmm.
first type of errors is error of omission. Okay, so error of omission happens when you're going to ditch the entire transaction into recording into the FS or into the ledger. Clear? So when you have
Mm-hmm.
completely taken or when you have not completely recorded what the transaction is, it is called error of omission. That means you're not recording it at all. Clear? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Example, a supplier has given you an invoice of $100, but you haven't recorded it at all. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
This is error of commission. Okay. So error of commission happens when you take something on the wrong account. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, example here is the rent expense of 500 was actually taken into the wages account. Clear? Both
Mm-hmm.
expenses are both are expenses. That is, rent is also an expense, wages is also an expense, but you took the rent rate expenses into the wages account. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Next is error of principle. So error of principle happens when you are going to not follow the accounting principles. Sorry, understood?
Mm-hmm.
This comma is
Common.
something that I'm very used to in dictating notes, so it automatically comes in between. Okay. So the
Mm-hmm.
transaction error of principle is when you have actually taken or you have not followed the accounting principles. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the example given here is something you have purchased. That is the NCA you have purchased of 10,000. You took it as an expense. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Purchase, when you take it as an expense, it breaches the accounting principle. Error of commission is when you take the debit side or credit side wrong of the same category accounts. Clear? But
Mm-hmm.
error of principle happens when you don't follow the group 1, group 2 rule. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Clear? Next is compensating error. So, compensating error is when one error that you have committed actually compensates any other error that you have made again. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, two errors when you make it and these two errors cancel out each other's errors, then that becomes compensating errors. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Example given here is a rent repair expense of 670 was recorded into the general ledger. That means the main ledger. Okay. And an insurance expense of 1,100 was recorded in the general ledger as 1010. Clear? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And while one expense was overstated by 90, the other expense is understated by the same amount. So it would tally out each other. Clear, no?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Next is error of original entry or transposition error. So this happens when you have taken the original entry itself on error. For example, the amount, the monetary amount, the money that you have taken in. Clear? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Example is when you have taken a credit purchase of 985. Okay. But in the general ledger, you recorded it only for 859. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the way of writing is correct, but you did the money wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next is reversal of entries. So something that is, for example, when you have sold goods for cash, it is debit cash and credit sales, right?
Yeah.
But you took the other way around. You took credit cash and debit sales. Clear? So if that
Mm.
happens, it is called reversal of entries. Understood? No? Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you have errors, there are three steps that you take. Okay? When you have an error, there are three steps that you take. The first step is to identify the right entry. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is what is the correct entry. You have to identify it. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
That is the first step. Clear, no? The second
Mm-hmm.
step is to identify the wrong entry. That is whatever the wrong entry that they have passed. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And the third
Mm-hmm.
step is you're going to rectify the entry. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Understood? So for when
Mm-hmm.
you are going to correct an error, the first thing that you would notice is what is the correct entry that should have been passed. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that you would look towards is what entry they have actually recorded. Clear? And the
Mm-hmm.
third thing that you do is you're going to rectify the errors that they have committed. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Clear, no? So in this
Mm-hmm.
case, this is the simplest one. Test your understanding too. Okay? Several
Mm-hmm.
accounting errors are noted below. A cash sale of 100 was not recorded at all. So the correct entry is what? What we should the current entry.
Debit,
The correct
uh,
entry is
debit, but
bit cash
debit, 100 cash and credit sales.
and credit sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
For how much?
100.
100,000. 100, sorry, 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since they haven't recorded it at all, there is no wrong entry, right? It's nil,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And the correct entry, the rectification entry that we would give us the same entry. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Understood, no?
Yes.
Same way, the insurance policy premium paid for 500. Just a moment, Elvira. Can you see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have already discussed the first one. The second one, insurance policy premium paid for 500 was debited to rent account in error, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the correct entry should have been debit insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Credit cash.
credit cash
Cash
or bank, right?
500. Mm-hmm.
What is the wrong entry that they took in? They debited
Rent.
and
Debit rent.
correctly recorded
Credit
bank,
cash.
right? So you
Mm-hmm.
need to rectify this. So in order to rectify, you're going to look whether what they have done wrong. They have unnecessarily debited rent, right? So you're going to credit it and cancel it. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And what should have been the correct entry? That is
Credit
sorry,
credit rent
debit,
and
yeah,
debit
debit
insurance.
insurance. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now the third one. After the class, you're going to approach this question or try this question on your own. Okay. And if you have doubts, you can just open the recordings. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So an NCA purchase of 1,000, right? Credit has
Mm-hmm.
been debited to the repairs account rather than an asset account, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
actually correct entry should be debit NCA,
Mm-hmm. 1,000 and credit bank.
credit payables, right? The wrong entry that they took in was debit repair
Repair.
and credit
Pay.
payables, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you correct this? They have unnecessarily debited
Credit.
repairs, so you
Credit NCA and
and debit,
credit repair and debit NCA.
yeah, exactly. Clear? Now the
Mm-hmm.
first one, goods purchased and paid at a cost of 950 was debited to sales account, right? So goods was purchased and paid at a cost of 950. So the correct entry is going to be debit purchase and credit bank, right? That is 950. This is the entry, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what did they do? They took it into sales account. So the wrong entry that they took was instead of purchase, they actually debited into sales account. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since the bank item is not given, we are going to assume that it was correctly recorded. So what is the rectification entry? You're going to credit
Credits,
sales
sales and
debit.
debit purchase.
Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now the next one, that is fifth one. A cash sale of 76 was recorded as 67. So the correct entry should have been what? Debit cash, credit sales of how much? 60, 76, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the wrong entry that they took in was they took a less amount, right? 67.
Mm-hmm. 76.
Okay. Credit sales. There is 9 missing, right? So your
Mm-hmm.
rectification entry would be the same. Debit
Sales
cash and
9.
credit sales, but you're going to take the extra
9.
amount of 9. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Understood? The sixth one. A
I
cash,
can also just reverse that, for example, 76 and after
see, that is a very method,
enter.
right? Why would you do that? You can simply take the difference and record it, right?
Mm.
Okay?
But it's also allowed. Just cancel first record and
It
put
wouldn't
new
be there in
record.
your options.
Mm-hmm.
In your option, it would be like this. The difference would be there. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Sixth one, a cash sale of 200 was debited to sales and credit to cash at bank. Okay. So what happened
Mm-hmm.
was, what is the correct entry? Debit
The credit
sale
sales should
of
be
how much? 200, right?
200.
What is the wrong entry that they made?
Debits
Credited
200.
cash at bank, right? It was actually taken on the credit side of the bank. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Understood? Okay. So what did they do?
Uh,
Cash sale happened. Just a moment. Okay. So what did they do? They took the opposite, right?
mm-hmm.
They debited into sales account and credited to cash account. That is what is given. Okay. So what is the
Mm-hmm.
rectification entry? They took it the wrong side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the problem is, if you corrected it with the same amount, it would just tally out. 200 would be tallied. That means I'll explain that with a representation. Suppose this is the cash account. Okay. They took a wrong
You
amount of,
show me something
yes,
because I cannot see a screen. Ah,
consciously.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I can see now.
Can you see now? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the wrong entry that they took is they took the 200 over the credit side of cash and debit side of sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you adjust the entry by just 200, this 200 would be given here and this 200 would be given here and the balance is zero, right? But it shouldn't be so.
Oh,
You have to have
yeah,
200
it's 30.
here, right? So in order to do that, what do? You're going to double the amount. Clear? So debit
Mm-hmm.
cash and credit sales, you're going to double amount. Always and always remember, if you took it on the wrong side, always double the amount. Understood? If you have
Ah, okay. First, it's like first will be canceled this
cash,
one, and
yes, exactly,
second will correct one, so it will become like double.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Understood? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to the next section, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You can try this on your own and refer to the recordings after that. Clear?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next section is errors where trial balance does not balance. Okay. So the property of the trial balance is that when you have taken in everything correctly, that is when you have prepared the proper ledger accounts, it should tally, right? Debit would be equal to the credit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have talked about misstatements or errors which actually tally them, right? The debit is equal to credit.
Mm-hmm.
Next type of error is such that both of the sides would be different. That means there is some difference. Understood? Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
in case of your computerized software, they cannot actually tally the trial balance. So they generate a separate line of uh, temporary account called as suspense account. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So suspend account is, I tell my students that it is like a dustbin. Clear? So anything that doesn't tally the debit side and credit side, we take it into the suspense account. Clear, no? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So suspense account is an account in which debits or credits are held temporarily until we are going to correct it. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Suspense account at the end should be zero, like there should not be nothing remain.
No, in the end of the year, it shouldn't be have anything. It shouldn't have anything because we are going to adjust everything. Clear? Question. So on extracting the trial balance, the accountant of ETT company noted that there was a suspense account included. Okay, that means the trial balance had some error and didn't get tallied and it got a suspense account automatically, right? So a
Mm-hmm.
further review of transactions identified additional issues that need to be reviewed and corrected as necessary. Okay. So the review
Mm-hmm.
revealed the following. A motor vehicle. So these are the errors that has been accounted for. Okay. So a
Mm-hmm.
motor vehicle had been purchased during the year and the bookkeeper did not know what to do with the debit entry. So recorded accounting entries as what did he do? He took it.
Suspense.
Yeah, he took suspense account debit and credit cash, right? So the wrong
Mm-hmm.
entry that he has taken is this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
What should have been the entry?
He
Motor
should.
vehicle, debit,
Mm-hmm.
and credit bank, right? So
Yes.
he unnecessarily debited suspense account. So you're going to credit it. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Follow my cursor, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
what should have been originally debited? The motor vehicle. So you're going to debit the motor vehicle. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Amount for everything is the same 21575. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's look at the second entry. A receipt of 530 from a credit customer. That means debit cash. What is the original entry? Debit bank and credit receivables, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's see what did they do. Had been correctly recorded in receivables account, but the other part of the entry recorded in payables. So they took it as credit receivable is correctly done, but instead of bank, they took it as payables. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
So unnecessarily payables was debited. So you're going to credit and cancel it. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
This time.
Mm-hmm.
So what should have been originally debited? This one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is debited in the correct entry. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see the third one. The bookkeeper was not able to deal with the bank of 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bank receipt of 500 from the owner's personal bank account, okay, and made the accounting entries as debit, bank, and credit suspense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Upon inquiry, the bookkeeper was advised that it was an additional capital. So that means it is debit cash and credit capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, additionally, it was a capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the correct entry for that is debit bank and credit capital. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
What did they record it as? Debit bank and credit suspense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So suspense was unnecessarily credited. So you debited and cancelled it. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to credit the original entry of capital here. Clear?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is just the
Oh,
side is interchanged. Okay. First is
yeah.
the original entry
Mm-hmm.
and the wrong entry and then the correct entry. Clear?
Can I ask one question here? It's not related. Yes, I saw this. Capital.
This is the fourth one. Okay. So the fourth one is no accounting entries has been made for bank receipt of 800 from a credit customer. So the correct entry should have been debit bank and credit receivables, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no wrong entry because there is no entry passed. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So the correct entry would be the same thing as the,
Same.
so the
Mm-hmm.
rectification entry would be same as the correct entry. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Understood? Next is the fifth.
Yeah.
A payment of 650 to a credit supplier NBV company, okay, had been recorded
Mm-hmm.
in the payables account and cash at bank as 65. It is 650, but it was recorded only 65. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
So the correct entry is follow the cursor, okay? Correct entry is debit payables credit bank for 650. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
But they recorded it as just 65 only, right?
Oh.
So
Mm-hmm.
they recorded it less. So you have to record more. So you're going to pass the same entry, but this time the amount would be 585. Clear?
Mm-hmm. I will just difference
Increase
put
it. Yeah,
additional.
increase it. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
You are
Mm-hmm.
just increasing the already existing balance. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Already 65 you have recorded. You're going to record it to 585 to
5.
reach the 650 amount. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next one. ETT company makes purchase from and sells to FGG company. Clear?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Okay. They agreed to contra the maximum amount possible to avoid the need to make an account for separate bank receipts and payments. Okay. So these two
Mm-hmm.
sells, purchases and sells to each other. Clear? So ETT
Mm-hmm.
company, what they do? They are purchasing from FGG company. Clear?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they are selling the finished goods to FGG company also. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of exchanging cash now and again, what did they do? They decided to contra the transaction. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And contra, you already know the nature of the payables is on the credit side. So when it comes to contra, it goes on the debit side. The nature of the receivables is always on the debit side. So when it is contra, it goes on the credit side. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the issue here? Let's see. ETT company had a receivable ledger balance due from FGG company of 850. So FGG was supposed to give them 850. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
And what ETT should give FGG was 650. Clear? That means the payable ledger balance is 650. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And ETT company processed the contra as follows. What? How did they record this? They debited payable 650, credited suspense, credited receivables for 850. That is wrong. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Means they took the whole thing. 850 together they took it. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is only the maximum amount should be settled, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maximum ETT company could settle from FGG companies for how much only? 650. Because ETT
Mm-hmm.
owes only 650. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
So the correct entry should happen debit payables, credit receivables for 650. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
What did they record? You're going to take the wrong entry as it is. Here, like this. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
receivables was unnecessarily increased by 200, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is on the credit side. Decrease by 200 unnecessarily, you're going to debit it and reverse it. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And suspense was unnecessarily debited, you're going to credit and cancel it. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
I'll repeat it again. Okay? They have told you you could settle the maximum amount possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here, ETT sold to FGG. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And FGG sold to ETT2, right? That is the
Mm-hmm.
balance. So
Mm-hmm.
ETT sold for how much? 850. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
That is the receivable ledger balance of ETT to FGG. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
And FGG, we had, that is ETT had a payable balance of how much? 650, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the maximum that we can settle them for us 650 because we owe 650 only to them. That means the remaining 200 they should pay in cash. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Clear? So this is the correct
Mm-hmm.
entry. This is the wrong entry. Clear? And the rectification entry is this one. Understood, no?
Yeah. Can you please this one send me? I will do myself, but I will after look and check.
Okay. I have the link again.
Yeah, just please send me.
Okay. I'll share the link.
This
The opposite. Clear? Now, you have all these corrected entry, right? That is in the
mm-hmm.
correct side. Now you're going to open suspense account from the corrected entries. Understood, no?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to take in each and every balance that you have recorded so far and transfer it to suspense account. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Clear? This is the first
Mm-hmm.
balance, the second and third balance, and then you total it down and take the carried forward and then you brought forward it. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
So that is all. After that, your question is complete.
Rectification, it means correction, like
Yes.
meaning of
Rectification
rectification.
means correction. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Test your understanding 3 would be your homework. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see to the last part. The last part is about the adjustments. So you know by now you have learned how to correct everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So suppose while you were correcting, you had two entries. That is, when you correct it, the debit side is also an SOPL content. The credits, sorry, the debit side is also an SOFP content. The credit side is also an SOFP content. Suppose maybe any two assets that is being reversed. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, there is no impact on the profit. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Now, suppose you have debited SOPL and credited SOPL content, maybe an expense or an income. Then also there is no impact on the profit. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but suppose your adjustment entry included a debit of the SOPL account and a credit of SOFP account. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Then on the debit side, your expense increases, right? Or maybe the income increases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, the profit is going to go down. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the adjustments that you have taken increases your SOFP position, that is SOFP amount, but decreases your profit and loss amount, then that means your profit is going to increase. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
When you study this, just take an example as any expense. Okay, so expense when increased, you're going to uh, debit it, right?
Yeah, and
And
profit will be
yeah,
less.
and profit will go down. Clear? And in
Mm-hmm.
this case, you take the example of an income. So when income increases, you're going to credit it, so your profit goes up. Clear, no?
Mm-hmm.
Understood? So
Mm-hmm.
with that, the chapter is over. Clear? TYU
Mm-hmm.
4 and TYU 5 would be your homework. And
By 3 and which one?
all
1 and 3.
TYUs after that. That is TYU 3, TYU 4, and TYU 5 would be the homework. Okay? And
Mm-hmm.
SOPL has an additional content as OCI, right? Other comprehensive income, which is not there in the FA syllabus, but you will study more about it in the next level. Clear?
Yeah, it's about
Yeah,
revaluate
valuation and
the
yeah, many stuffs after that.